This episode is brought to you by Rhythm and Grooves Music Academy, located at 6769 Stage Road in Bartlett, Tennessee. Rhythm and Grooves is more than your average music school. Rhythm and Grooves offers an immersive musical experience on a myriad of instruments that enables students to become versatile, employable musicians across the entire spectrum of musical performance. Students can learn the fundamentals of music in a practical environment that allows them to venture into far and away more musical styles than other lessons institutions. Rhythm and Grooves covers everything from Bach to Beale Street. Come in the store today and book your free intro lesson just by mentioning this podcast. And for more information, you can visit rhythmandgroovesmusicacademy.com or give them a call at 901-435-6577. Rhythm and Grooves also has a few events coming up for the summer. If your student is interested in playing percussion in a middle school band, there will be a beginning band startup from June 6th to June 10th. There will be a marching percussion camp for any student interested in high school marching band, and that will be June 13th through 17th. There will also be a drum set camp for any student interested in drum set from June 20th to June 24th. And all that information can be found at rhythmandgroovesmusicacademy.com/camps. And on a personal note, I just want to thank Richard Henson, the owner of Rhythm and Grooves, so much for allowing us to record the Modern Working Musician out of that space. He's just a super nice guy and one of my dearest friends. Lastly, if you are interested in advertising with the Modern Working Musician, please visit keeganpaluso.com for more information, or you can send me an email at keeganpalusomusic@gmail.com. Thank you so much. Warning, this episode may contain language that is not suitable for younger listeners. Listener discretion is advised. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Modern Working Musician. I'm your host, Keegan Paluso. My guests this week are the married couple Xanthe and Ryan Mumm-Saucier. They make up half of the band known as Lipstick Stains. They're a DIY punk band from the Memphis area. We talk about everything from navigating the punk scene to feminism in the Memphis music scene to how to manage your finances in a DIY band to navigating a marriage in a musical relationship, something that's very important to me because my wife and I are both musicians. We cover a lot of ground in this interview, and there's actually a little bit of B-roll if you'll stay tuned at the end, because we ended up ending the interview and then got to talking again and had more stuff to say. So it was super cool. These guys are fantastic people, and it's really nice to get to know them. They have a show this Saturday at the Lamplighter Lounge in Memphis, and it's an all-woman-fronted punk show. Doors at 8, music at 9, covers $10. Go check it out. I will try to be there as well if I can. Just a few more announcements before we get started. I am still raising money for my Nashville Modern Working Musician adventure, so if you're interested in buying merch or ad time or anything like that, visit keeganpaluso.com for more information, or you can email me at keeganpalusomusic@gmail.com. And without further ado, let's get into it. This is Xanthe and Ryan Mumm-Saucier of Lipstick Stains. All right, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Modern Working Musician, where we are on a quest to explore different careers in the music industry. I am here with Ryan and Xanthe Mumm-Saucier from the band Lipstick Stains. Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. How y'all doing?
Good. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, doing good. Thank you.
I'm so excited. So you guys are essentially a DIY punk band from the Memphis area? Is that the best way?
Pretty much. Yeah,
Yes,
that definitely
yeah.
sums it up.
Very cool. How did the name Lipstick Stains come about, if you don't mind me asking?
We were coming back from our 2-year anniversary. We rented a cabin down in what was it, Clarksdale? I always mix up the city.
Clarksdale,
Okay,
Mississippi.
I actually got it right this time.
The
Clarksdale.
Shack Up Inn.
Yeah, the Shack Up Inn. And that's where we came up with the idea of us actually, starting a band and writing music together. And on the way back is when we were, trying to come up with a band name. And she originally came up with Sex Stains because it was the full gritty, but not, sound that we were kind of going for. And I immediately turned that down, not because I didn't like it, but I was just like, your Cajun grandfather who actually likes me and is involved, like he's going to know about this band. And I was just like, we're not going to do that. And then she was like, well, then Lipstick Stains. And I was like, I like that a little bit better. And I bet he will like that a little bit better. So
it's like here, and you just dialed it back.
Just dial it back. Like it's still, because it's got the stains in there. It's still gritty. Still gets the point across.
Yeah, I really like the name, and it kind of encapsulates that raw.
So, for sure.
Seeing you guys play at that outdoor show was just super rad. Like,
thank you.
Like, actually having a real show.
I just never thought you could bring like that much hype to a driveway, man. I'm not gonna lie, that was so awesome.
I think we surprised ourselves too.
How long has that EP been out? It's been out for.
It's been about a year.
About to be a year.
About to be a year, yeah.
Oh my gosh, this year has flown by.
I know.
I was there. It feels like a couple months ago.
I know,
right?
It really does. To continue on with the band name, when we were first together, we were very much into making out in public, and I am very much into wearing lipstick, so there was lipstick stains all over Ryan's face all the time.
Yes.
So it was very fitting as well, on a personal level. But yeah, we had like done some open mic night stuff together, but I was always really into like the singer-songwriter realm of the music world, and then Ryan was always into the heavier punk, pop punk, etc. And so we just never really thought our worlds would collide. But when we decided that we were gonna do it, I'd gotten the heavy show bug, and I wanted to be on stage and perform heavy songs, and now it truly feels like my calling after all these years of trying various different types of stage performance with theater and singer-songwriter stuff and dancing and et cetera, and now this is where we belong.
Very cool. Yeah. So you did musical theater too? Or?
Yes, I did theater for 6 years. I started as a theater performance major at college, and then I quickly changed to business management.
That is so cool. Do you have a favorite musical?
No, probably Les Mis, but I was more into Shakespeare.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So I like musicals, but Shakespeare was my fave.
So you talked about theater background. Any music education background? Band, choir, lessons, anything like that?
No, because I thought I was too cool for everything in high school, so I did not participate. But I was in chess club for a little bit.
There we go.
But no, I had drum lessons a little bit, but at that time I was already playing for about 4 or 5 years. And, I was starting from the beginning and just being kind of a, shitty, snotty teenager. I was just like, I don't need this. So besides that, no, I've pretty much been more self-taught, drumming, just listening to my favorite records on a boombox. And then with guitar, by the time I picked it up, YouTube existed. So,
So you were a drummer first then?
Yeah. I started drumming, I think I was 11 or 12 when I got my kit, and I didn't pick up the guitar, really actually picking up the guitar until I was 25.
Okay.
Yeah, nice.
Very cool. Music education background?
Not really. I did like a couple months of guitar lessons when I was 11, and my teacher moved, and my family just didn't really have the money anymore, and I liked it. I was okay at reading music, but I mean, that was so long ago that like everything I learned was just gone.
Gotcha.
I self-taught open chord, slow strumming, singer-songwriter stuff, and I can play like 15 open chords with my eyes closed, but when we get into faster rhythm or anything really complicated, I don't know. I don't know it. So, but yeah, so that's it. It's kind of the same with piano. I did a little bit of self-taught open chord, like basic piano structure to write lyrics. But with this band particularly, I really discovered that I really love writing lyrics and singing. So being able to do that and not having to force myself to pick up an instrument that I don't really want to play is really nice. So, but yeah, other than that, no formal education, unfortunately.
Oh, no, it's all good here. As long as we're playing, that's what matters.
Yes.
So, you talked about the singer-songwriter thing before you guys moved into the punk thing. Did that influence your songwriting at all when y'all moved into making music together?
Not at first. Like, at first, I was kind of trying so hard to be, like, in your face, hardcore punk, like, not branching into that at all. But the longer we've been a band, the more experimental we've gotten and the more we've gotten on the alternative side with a lot of our songs. So I can really have that softer side and that pretty side kind of come out
Very cool.
more now.
Okay, awesome.
It's less about the anger and more about art.
Very cool.
Yeah, but you can still have angry art.
No, of course, of course.
I think so. Just as a little less structured, I suppose more about like serving the like whatever you're feeling in the moment. I got you.
Yeah.
What does y'all's writing process look like as a band?
For a while, it's like when to go back to how this all started and everything. I wasn't playing guitar for a band, and I wanted to step away from vocals because the band I had previously, I was main vocals and guitar. I just wanted to focus on guitar. Mm-hmm. So I was already doing some writing, but I was writing full songs, and I was thinking about possibly just keeping it a studio project and, just recording everything and, doing all that and not actually putting a band together. So that's actually like the first batch of songs is what kind of came from that, and a few songs left over that I wanted to use for my previous band, but we never got there.
Yeah.
And, showing them to, Xanthe and the rest of the band, and it was just like, yeah, let's do it. So at first it was kind of, that was kind of like the base, like, hey, we have some material, let's get it going and, see what happens. And now at this point, with a lot of the newer stuff that we've been working on, it's been more of like, just jamming in our practice space and, hashing things out. And I mean, there's still like, I'll have some riffs and then she'll hear me jamming on and be like, I like that. And then immediately write like, a chorus or a verse or something over it. And then we'll show, the boys and they're like, yeah, let's do this shit. Or, Eric will come in with a sick bass line and be like, let's write something on that. So it's become more of a group effort over time, which, I like too, because, you don't really know where the song's going to go and how it's going to finish. You just keep hashing it out and just do what's best,
Yeah, and some of my favorite songs actually have been like me angry about something in my car on my lunch break, and I'm just writing lyrics on my phone, and then I show Ryan and I say, I have no idea how I want the music to sound, but I know I want to write a song out of this. And sometimes he'll just bust out something that he hadn't even been working on because he read the lyrics and thought, okay, this seems like it could work. And that's some of my favorite songs of ours have been written like that. So it's kind of all over the place, honestly.
I think that's great, though. I love how organic it is, too. Like, a lot of music writing nowadays can get very formulaic, like lyrics first, music first, then we do this, A, B, C. Like half the songs I write, it's like verse, bridge, or like verse, chorus, verse, guitar solo in the bridge, because I hate writing bridges, and then we're done. Like that kind of thing. And I love how it can be spontaneous and very organic. It could start with lyrics, it could start. And I love how it happens in real time, too. Like the getting together, and I think you need a group of very close, enthusiastic individuals to write music in real time nowadays.
Yeah.
Because a lot of projects I'm in, it's like one person we do like sends out, like a lot of my music writing is done over email now.
No, I mean, that's definitely a norm now. I've never really done it that way. And I mean, I'm not opposed to it, but just, growing up and being used to just hashing it out in a room, that makes sense to me. And that, if I had to choose the way, I'd like to, keep doing it the way that we're doing it for sure.
Yeah, and we're also fortunate that we live together. So it's easy to like when the creative bug starts itching one of us, it's not difficult to be like, hey, you put your guitar on. And
that's just really cool.
Yeah.
That kind of leads me into my next question. Like, what is married life like playing in a band together?
I I think it's awesome. I never thought I would be able to do something like that, especially even just when we first started dating, just like we're both musically inclined, but like she said, we never thought that, our worlds and styles would end up colliding. But, it's definitely like, at first, almost seems like a little nerve wracking, like, okay, we're going to, add this other layer to our relationship. But, it's just to me, if, with doing something like that, it just depends on the kind of like how you go about it. And the way that we go about it is when it's, band time, whether it's practice or playing a show or something like that, that's what the focus is. Like when we're writing and stuff like that, like we're all talking like we're like friends, and, we can, just work together like that because we're both like wanting to be on the same page of just focusing on the music and focusing on having a good time. And I mean, I think over the years that Lipstick Saints has been a band, I think it's honestly made us closer and have a tighter bond than we already had because of just having that creative process together and having this idea that's coming out of nowhere and it getting put together and bringing it to the stage, bringing it to the studio and and all that. And I don't know, I think it's a great experience and I feel very lucky and fortunate to be able to experience it like this.
That's very cool. And I like how you said it kind of brings you guys closer together as well because I feel like there has to be some level of resolution whatever, like I'm married, my wife and I have been together for a long time. Like at some point, like when conflicts do arise, we have to find some level of conflict resolution. And
right.
I feel like you could possibly do that with your art too.
Yeah.
So that's very cool. And then, like I said, y'all get to write music together all the time, which is super rad.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, when you guys get together to rehearse, do you have somebody that runs rehearsal? Do you have, is it kind of whoever is in charge or whoever needs what done at the time? What does your rehearsal process kind of look like?
Usually, the first thing that we usually do is just going over the set for whatever the next show is going to be. And then usually, hopefully when there's time, and usually there is, working on, new ideas or just making sure that new songs that we're working on is staying tight. But, if not, it's usually just, working on the set and, for the next show and just keeping everything as tight as possible.
Very cool. Very cool. Speaking of shows, we have a very cool show coming up, correct?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
So who, what, when, and where is all this happening?
We've got Rosie, us, Lipstick Saints, and Little Baby Tendencies. We're going to be playing this Saturday, May 21st at the Lamplighter Lounge here in Memphis, Tennessee. It's $10 cover, doors at 8, show at 9. I've been trying to put together this show, or at least a similar show, for a really long time now. Little Baby Tendencies started about a year ago, and they're a two-piece woman-fronted as well, and Haley and Michael were both really vocally big fans of ours. They would come support us a lot, and we were really into what they were doing, and we love seeing them play live. They have awesome energy, and so I really wanted to play with them, and we've been trying to play with them for almost the entirety that they've been a band, and either shows have fallen through or conflicts with scheduling. But I really admire Haley's stage performance. She plays guitar, but that doesn't hold her back, which I really think is super cool because she's got this very theatrical presence about her, and she's very charismatic with her facial features, and she really paints a picture in what she's saying, even though it's more straight punk, so half the time you can't understand what she's saying, but you can feel it, and I love that. And then Rosie has been around for almost exactly as long as Lipstick Stains has. We have played with them, I think maybe only once.
Yes, it was the one time, yeah.
Yeah, and also
Leap
fronted by
PNH.
a wonderful woman, Michaela, who has an incredible voice. And then her husband is the guitar player for that band, so they have the same thing going on
Oh, wow. That's
as
really
us. Will's awesome. And then our friend Leo just joined as their bass player, so I'm very excited to see him play. But yeah, we played with them our very last show at P&H Cafe, rest in peace, on Leap Day, February 29th, 2020, with a band also fronted by another badass woman called When Particles Collide. And they're from Maine, and they're awesome, and we had a blast. And I don't want to say like I wish we had known, but I wish we had been able to really hold on to the fact knowing that was going to be our last show there ever.
Yeah.
But it's cool that it was a memorable day, being Leap Day 2020.
Oh yeah. I mean, it was definitely, to pick, a last show at, something as legendary as P&H. Like I wouldn't choose anything different.
Yeah, it was amazing. And P&H is where we had our first ever show. So
yeah.
kind of came full circle.
With Heels.
Oh, yeah, with Heels, yeah. And Hardaway, which our bass player Eric was in that band at the time, but not in Lipstick Stains.
Oh wow!
So, the Memphis music scene, how it goes.
Right.
But yeah, so I'm very excited. We have a very short amount of. That's not how you say that. We have a shortage of women-fronted heavier bands. Or just women in heavier music, period. I was going to say in Memphis, but in general, like at all. And so to be able to bring, some of the few of us together for one night of awesomeness is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. So it's all woman-fronted punk show at the Lamplight. That's so very cool.
Yes.
I had a way to word this before we started, and now I'm drawing a blank. I guess I would kind of like to zoom in a little bit, I guess. Like, what does, like, feminism in the punk scene in Memphis look like to you?
I mean, there isn't much of a female presence, at all. I think that I've never really experienced like any direct misogyny towards, my band or any other band in Memphis by any way, shape, or form. And I certainly, I love seeing ladies getting in the pit and throwing down. I definitely see that quite a bit. It's awesome. But as far as seeing women on stage, it's few and far between in the heavier scene. And I don't, like I said earlier, I don't think that that's just here. When we play out of town, I actively go out of my way to try to find out about the other women in the heavier music scene, and it's always like crickets. So, I don't know if it's a internal thing where women are getting, told no, or if because we just see it so little, we just think, oh, that's not for me, which I think that's probably more of what it is, because marketing and everything in society that rules our little brains, that controls us and makes us feel like we have to look like the people on the screen. I think that's more of what it is I think we don't see it, so we don't think I can do that. And I think that's anyone, any minority group, anyone out there, and that's what showing up and just being that presence to say, hey, you can do this too. And so I don't know if it's necessarily men or non-women identifying people saying you can't. I think it's more of just there's no one saying you can or encouraging that you should. And so that's why I really hope to be more of an impact. I hope to be able to play more all ages shows. I love being able to play all ages shows, especially seeing like little kids. And at our EP release show, we had our friend's little daughter there, and she was rocking out with us. And so I love seeing that. I want girls from the time they're born to know that like there's no limitation, because there shouldn't be any limitations for anyone, not just women, not just cis women, like literally anyone and everyone should be able, if that's what they feel inclined to do, should be able to get up on stage and rock out, you know?
That's fantastically put. I do remember that my most vivid memory of that show was that little girl walking up and like getting a picture with you and stuff. I thought that was absolutely wonderful. And I think you do just such a wonderful job of being a role model, because you talked about your story, like you did the singer-songwriter thing, and then when you got into the punk scene, you're like, this is like kind of where I'm home, and it was finding that access into that made you realize like this was something you really loved doing and you felt comfortable doing, and
Yeah.
providing that access to more and more people. I think that was very wonderfully put. So
Thank you. I mean, it shouldn't take me having to be married to someone in the scene to make me be able to feel like I can be in the scene. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, it shouldn't just be me. It should be whoever wants to do it. And that's anywhere, you know? And I think the more we kind of bring each other up and focus on these women-fronted shows and show like, hey, we're not just cool because I'm a lady on stage. Like, we're cool because we're cool, and we tear the stage up, you know? So I just want to bring more of that to everywhere.
well, I think you guys do a fantastic job.
Thank
with that,
you.
so
Thank you.
Very cool. What are some things like I can do to help bring these issues to the forefront?
I mean, I think the biggest thing is, you know, it's really cool how many people we get asking us to play shows who, I mean, of course it's super cool when we have bands with women and them asking us to play shows. Sometimes it's like, are you asking us just because we're another band with a woman in them, or are you asking us because you legitimately want to play with us? But people who don't have women in their band try to book shows with women or people of color or, you know, LGBTQ plus people, like just people that aren't just a band full of 4 straight white cis dudes, you know?
Right, totally.
I mean, that's literally like the biggest thing you can do. And then also just like never make anyone feel like they're lame or a poser or a loser because they want to do shit, you know? Like, encourage people to get up front and sing along and not make them feel silly for dancing and, you know, having a good time. Because I think that's the biggest thing is people don't want to ever seem silly, you know, and they don't want to get laughed at. And as long as you don't make people feel like you're going to, then that's the best way you can be inclusive. But yeah, booking shows with people who, you know, are not just your run-of-the-mill regular stereotypical white guy band. And not that there's anything wrong with that. I love all kinds of white guy bands, but
I think that's a really good point, that and it's really easy to and like, you know, like share a Spotify playlist and stuff like that. And I think those are great, but I think, you know, putting it on the musicians in this community, be like, hey, like this is something we need to be responsible for as well. And,
Yeah.
you know, like showing up for shows is great, and like and supporting, like, you know, like paying the door and going to shows is great, but like actually actively putting bands on bills, I think that's very important, and it that's something that as a musical community we're definitely responsible for. So
yeah.
I think that's very well put.
Thanks.
So you've got this Memphis show coming up. You also have some out-of-town shows coming up as well. Is that correct?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Yes.
Are y'all doing like a run? Are you doing some like one-offs, or what are y'all doing?
The first thing coming up is just a weekender. We're going to Nashville on Friday, June 3rd, and then we're going to, I always forget, is it Newport?
Yes.
I've remembered. Newport, Kentucky, which is basically Cincinnati. There's a cool venue up there called The Sanctuary, and we're going to be playing a fest there that's called Punk's Care. And, you know, there's a lot of cool bands on it. So very excited about that. And then I know we have some other stuff planned for later in the summer and later on in the year, but, you know, nothing's official yet, so we'll just keep it at those two.
Do you have a particular method for how y'all book shows, like strictly Facebook, strictly email, or just do everything possible to
kind of
get on
anything possible, you know? I mean, thankfully with bands that, you know, we've played with or seen here And with the out of town shows that we have played, we have definitely, made a lot of connections. So with certain cities, we already know some people to hit up and just be like, hey, we're thinking about this. And, they're usually really cool with directing us of, who to talk to, what venues, what bands and stuff like that. So, but yeah, if we don't know anybody, then we just try to do as much research in the area and, try to find, somebody to talk to, help us point us in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, of course, Memphis isn't hard for us to book because we know everyone, but man, people don't like responding. It's more venues than bands. Bands are usually pretty responsive, but venues, like, it is so hard to get venues to respond when you're out of town and you email. Like, that's the professional thing to do. That's the right thing to do. And then no one responds to the emails, which I get that they're super busy, but it's harder than it seems.
I feel like it's really strange because a lot of those venues are like, if for booking, email us. Like,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And then there's like this unwritten rule of like, actually, they're not good. Like, they need to know somebody before you to get in the door and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. So. Just to give like a small example, right before, COVID got bad and lockdown happened, we were trying to work on another weekender that was going to be St. Louis, Chicago, and Louisville, and I was working my ass off on it to where, like, with one city, I would have a full lineup of bands, but no venue. Or the opposite, I would have a venue and I couldn't get the bands to respond. And I remember talking to her, I was just like, I give up. Like, I am getting so frustrated with all the hours after work putting into this shit. And then it was like less than a week. She was like, all right, it's all booked. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then like, it was literally like a week and a half later, it was COVID. And then it was just like,
no.
oh, well, great. I'm so glad we did all of that for nothing.
Oh my
I mean, obviously, no one's fault, but
yeah.
It's just, it can be frustrating sometimes, but thankfully when, everything does go right and everything does get put together, I mean, we've haven't really had a bad experience on the road, except when we were out on the road the last weekend before, lockdown, our last date in Huntsville, Alabama. That's when you could really tell, like, the scare of COVID was, like, becoming a thing. Yeah, there was 5 people that came out, and we were like, if this wasn't our last show, we would cancel and go home, because what the fuck are we doing out here right now, We were like, we thought it was a good idea in the beginning, and, thankfully none of us got sick and, whatever, and at least the first show in Birmingham was absolutely awesome, but... it was such a weird time when all that was happening.
Oh yeah, man. My brother was on tour. My brother sings for Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
Nice.
And they were in like Delaware. They were somewhere up north.
Yeah.
And like they almost got stranded because like flights are getting canceled and stuff like that.
Oh,
like
shit.
yeah. And it was
Yeah.
like, oh my god, yeah. And then we went on spring break. I was teaching in Shelby County. We went on spring break. And
Yeah.
never went back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am woefully ignorant. I love punk music, but I'm also woefully ignorant on most of like the punk scene and things like that. How does the punk scene in Memphis compare to other places that you guys have been?
Well, with Memphis, what I've noticed since I was younger, there's kind of like an ebb and flow with the punk scene in Memphis, to where we've got highs and we've got lows. And right now, I feel like we're going up, but I mean, definitely, with this year alone playing locally, we've been having really great turnouts, and it seems like people are getting more turned on to alternative punk music, and the few times that we're able to play all ages shows, great response. And that's always fun when you see, like what she was talking about, earlier, just like younger kids, just like, oh, this is, you could tell, like, a light bulb is kind of going off, to where like, I have to find more of this, and, with playing out of town, especially this year as well, it's just, everything's been going very smooth, and, we're very grateful, and, just trying to keep it going.
I would say the biggest thing I noticed, at least, like the biggest difference between Memphis and other places that I'd like to see change, is just more opportunities for all ages shows. And when I say all ages, I don't just mean like teenagers. Like, I want people to bring their kids to shows, because I mean, most of the parents who are going to bring their kid to a show, they swear around them, you know. They ain't gonna hurt them if they hear me drop a couple F-bombs. And we don't have that a whole lot. We play at a really cool little flea market, punk rock flea market in November at the High Tone during the day on a Sunday. And it was awesome. It was super cool. And I've seen a lot more things like that out of town than I do here, and I think it would be really cool to have earlier shows that have a full all ages. Bring your kids, let's hang out, let's have a good time. It doesn't necessarily need to be alcohol centered. I mean, of course, it's awesome. I want the bars to make money, but we can do it without everyone getting trashed at 5:00 on a Sunday. I think, and we've played a lot of like out of town breweries and fests where there's little kids everywhere, and it's so cool. And I just I want to see more of that in Memphis. I want to see more opportunities, and not just little kids, but like younger kids being able to play, and I'm starting to see that. We've played with a couple bands who are like still in high school, and that's awesome, so just more opportunities for a more inclusive environment for shows, because I mean, we're all getting older, like not everyone wants to see us play at 11:30,
I don't want to play at 11:30
on a Wednesday.
I hate playing late, man. If we play at 7 p.m., I'm golden.
Yeah. For sure.
If I can get home by 9, because I live out in Tipton County, so if I can get home by 9, we're great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, no, I really love, because you keep coming back to all ages shows. It sounds like just bringing this style of music to the next generation seems like something that you are both really passionate about.
Oh, for sure. When I first started going to shows, I was, still in high school, and, the skate park in Memphis and the New Daisy, all ages shows all the time. I was able to see some really cool bands.
Right.
And, I know Society, they're having shows, and I believe that they're all ages. So, I mean, we're starting to see it a little bit more. And like she was saying, with the show that we played in November, and actually our last High Tone show, was all ages as well. And, it's just, it's cool, the mix of, teenagers and kids being able to see something that they normally don't get to see, but then we also get to play to a whole new audience, and it's just like the energy is just there, so.
That's very cool. One of my biggest regrets, I remember talking to you about this at y'all's show. I was teaching middle school choir at the time. And I would say of the 3 choirs, I had like 3 choirs of like 50 kids apiece. And I think I might have had like 5 guys in the entire, like out of 150 kids. So I was like, if she just comes and talks to these kids, you're going to get a whole new generation of punk rockers. So my biggest regret is not getting you to come talk to my students before.
I remember we talked about it, and I was so jazzed about it. But
if you ever have the opportunity to do something like that, you don't need to go in there talking. You need to go in there with your megaphone. just come in, just like, really bring in the energy.
I will say, having taught for 8 years, those middle school kids are like ready. They're like, those kids are, especially in this generation, they're more punk than like any kids I've ever met. Like, they know who they are. Like, people like to talk about like the younger generation. These kids. I'm so excited for these kids to grow up. They know who they are. They are way more. Like when I grew up, I was still like, the internet wasn't a thing till I was a teenager, Right. So we had to figure out the internet in real time. And these kids are like, they're born in it. That also means for all the horrible things about the internet, I think these kids know how to handle it way better than I do. So, but no, I think these kids are totally ready to be into punk rock. So,
for sure. Yeah.
We might have to book an all ages show here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk to Richard. We've been talking about trying to do concerts here and stuff like that.
You got the room.
That'd be awesome.
So we might do. I would love to do at least if y'all are interested, do some kind of like workshop where you talk about like songwriting and things like that. I think that would be absolutely wonderful. If y'all wanted to do something like that here.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, that sounds really cool.
Yeah, I'm the workshop guy. He and I've been talking about doing songwriting workshops and stuff.
Yeah.
Having you guys come in and just write in a style that it's a lot of people don't think about good songwriting in punk music a lot of times because they don't. It's an access thing like we talked about. So having you guys come in, I think, would be totally rad. So
definitely.
I did want to ask, so we're talking about like the younger generation and stuff. Did you have that, when did you have that aha moment of like, this, like music is something I want to do as like a career and something I'm passionate about? Or did you have an aha moment, or was it just like, you knew from birth, it was like you were going to do it?
I mean, I was always super interested in it. The first time I got behind a kit, I was like 6 or 7. It was when I was still living up north in New England, and I was hanging out with cousins in New Jersey, and they had a kit in the basement. And I sat on my cousin's lap because I was too short. So he was doing the hi-hat and the bass drum, and I was doing everything else. And I was just like, with being that young and doing that, I was just like, this is cool. Mm-hmm. And when I was living in New Hampshire, my mom was in a cover band, and they practiced in our basement, and they left their equipment down there, and I was always told not to touch anything. And my dad, if we were ever down there and my mom wasn't home, he'd be like, "You want to get on those drums, don't you?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He'd be like, "All right, do it." And I remember like the first time he let me do that, and we were listening to the radio. It was AC/DC's "Rock and Roll Ain't Noise Pollution." That's the first song that I tried to play drums on and drum to, and I was always interested. And I think my parents finally caved and got me a kit because I was that annoying kid in class that didn't even realize doing it. I was just making beats on my desk just nonstop to where the teacher would be like, "Ryan," and I'm like, "Oh shit, I'm doing it again." And they were like, "All right, this kid is, he needs to play music." And it really was like, when I got the kit and started playing, it was just like, this is all I want to do. And I am very fortunate that both of my parents were okay with me hashing it out for 2 to 3 hours almost every day in the garage playing on those drums. And I'm not a light drummer. Even then, no. I was beating the shit out of them. So, I want to say, I was in like 7th grade when I was trying to put my first band together, and my first show ever was my 8th grade birthday party in my garage, and we knew 3 songs, and we just had to keep playing them over and over because that's all we knew. Yeah,
that's so
cool, it's
man.
Just, pretty much, just with getting my first instrument, it was just like, this is all I want to do. It made me feel, just normal and just, sane anytime I was doing it. So.
Now, did you have an aha moment as well?
No, I've always known I was going to be a performer. I mean that in the most like over dramatic drama queen way. Like I remember one of my first memories was one of my grandmothers. I couldn't I didn't know how to write words well enough to actually write pen and paper. Like, I kind of knew how to read, but I couldn't, fully sit down and write something. And so I remember asking her, I was like, I have these lyrics I want to write, so can you please write them down for me? And so I can read them back and remember them later on. I was always dancing, always singing, always singing. Of course, over the years, this type of singer I wanted to be has evolved, but ever since I was young, especially once I really knew about bands and front people, especially, I knew that was that's what I want to do. And like I said, the type evolved, and I thought for a while the singer-songwriter thing was my niche. I thought theater was my niche. I thought I was a belly dancer for a while. I thought that was my niche. I did poi spinning for a while with that, and I thought that was my thing. And I did, literally all different types of performance. I did all different types of dance when I was little. And I did vocal lessons for a while, more in the theater style of learning how to train my voice. And it was all awesome, and I always loved it. But like I said before, this was when, especially when I was getting comfortable and when I was feeling confident, and especially when I got to where I could talk in between songs and not feel like I was gonna pee my pants. That's when I really realized this is the thing. This not just singing, not just being on stage, not just performing for people, not trying to be a film actor, not trying to be a stage actor, not trying to be a writer, but getting on stage as a front woman without an instrument and just slaying. that's when I was for sure. So I guess that was the aha moment. But basically, from birth, I've always wanted to be a performer.
Would you say that your background and all these other facets are did you have any experiences from those that you would consider like tools in your arsenal for what you do now?
100%.
Very cool. Do you have any kind of because I know some people who do theater have like a ritual or anything like that to kind of get in that headspace? Do you have anything like that or a pre-show routine?
Not really. You know, I really should do vocal warm-ups. I know how to do a million. I just forget. I got into yoga recently, so I do a lot of yoga before performing now. I always try to at least do something like the day of and then do a little bit like right before we're going to go on stage, and that's really helpful. But as far as like warming up, I don't do enough of it. So I guess I don't have any tips for that, but they're out there. You should do them.
It's okay,
do as I say, not as I do.
That's okay.
Yes.
I'm guilty of it too. I used to warm up my choir kids every single day and then go play a gig and not do any of it. So I totally understand.
When I was in theater, of course, we would like spend an hour going down the halls and being as loud and over dramatic as possible, doing physical and vocal warm-ups. And now, like, I forget to even kind of do anything. So
I feel like as far as warming up your body, I do think it's crucial, but like I feel like the longer I play, the less I have to like warm up my mind to get in that headspace. Like you just at some point the switch can kind of click on its own.
Yeah.
Or for me in general. Do y'all have any? I have some pre-show superstitions. I don't know if you guys do. Like I can't drink alcohol before a show.
Yeah.
There was one time that I had like a beer and I had to pee so bad. Almost did not. I will not take a sip of alcohol before a show.
Yeah.
And then after every show, if it goes well, I have to eat chicken nuggets from the McDonald's in Raleigh. I don't know, because it's on the way to my house. So.
Right.
that's awesome.
No, not really. Really the only thing I get is I can't eat beforehand, and like at this point, you know, it's not nerves or anything like that. Like obviously, you know, you get that anxious, the adrenaline's starting to kick in, but it's just, you know, I can eat lunch and then I can't eat until the show is over with. I might have like a little snack, you know, like a small payday or something.
Which
So there's
honestly,
something,
I would say that's
but-
like not great for us, because what happens is we don't eat dinner and then we like slay and like just go hard, and then it's like midnight,
nothing open.
1 a.m, and there's nothing to eat. We're like shaking from the adrenaline rush and the lack of food in our stomachs. So eat a granola bar before you go on stage.
I support that. You know, I might pack some snacks because I mean, I can't eat the McDonald's in Raleigh at 3 a.m. Like,
yeah.
I can't do that. That's not good for anybody to do that
No.
as much as I have in the past. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna pack a lunch.
Yeah, it used to be cookout for us for a while, and we're just like, it's not worth the line. Just go home and we'll figure out
It's not
something.
worth any of it.
You know?
We've recently been doing Waffle House after shows, and
Yeah,
that's
well,
nice.
oh my
Got some
God.
That was our
eggs,
out of town
bacon.
thing for a while, was just Waffle House. But this year, for some reason, anytime we try to do it, they're either just not open at all, or they're not 24 hours anymore, or it's a Huddle House that's not open. So out of town, we have not been able to do our ritual after show. The whole band goes to Waffle House. But yeah, we have one down the street from where we live, so we're just like, we'll do it locally. Fuck it.
Yeah.
You know?
Waffle House, man. What? Waffle House not open? That doesn't make any sense.
I
to me.
know.
I
I'm
don't
very
understand.
grateful that the ones here in Memphis are, you know. But yeah, it was weird. Like the first time, what was it, Little Rock last summer? We went to like 2 of them, and it was just like, they
Oh,
aren't
yeah, you're
open,
right.
or it was just like just pick up, and we're like, we don't want to eat this in the car.
Yeah, who eats Waffle
You
House in
know?
a car?
Yeah, I know. But yeah, it's definitely weird out of town. You know, if you're gonna try to find late night, don't count on the Waffle House. You know, that's my tip from this podcast.
There we go. So do you have any long-term plans for the project as far as like growing the project, new releases or tours or anything like that? Any goals, I guess?
When we started this, and you know, we went to Shelby Pruden of Walking on Landmines, and we recorded a 3-song EP. And after that, that's when we tried to find, a bass player and a drummer. Because, since I was already writing songs and planning on doing a studio thing anyways, it was just like, I'm pretty much already there because I've been practicing and we're actually using, some of the songs. And it was just like, it'll be easy so people know kind of what we're looking for, kind of what we're doing. And, if people are interested, like they're legitimately going to be interested because they can already hear the style. And from the get-go, when we found members, it was like, all right, we're going to get tight. We're just going to play locally. But once we get there, like, we want to play out of town as much as possible. That's feasible with, work and, daily life. And, at this point, we've pretty much been able to accomplish that. And, I think, for me anyways, the long-term goal is just, take it as far as we can take it and just have as much fun as we can have doing it, especially with, having lockdown with the pandemic and having live shows taken away for a little bit. And, what that feels like is like, you don't want to take any of it for granted,
Totally.
you want to make sure that, just try to seize the day with it.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I think the biggest, I hate to be all boo-hoo about COVID because, so many musicians were hurt so much worse than we were.
Yes.
But we really were getting our momentum going in 2020, like really where we wanted to be. And now we're kind of like finally getting back to where we were. And it feels great to be playing out of town, but it does feel like we have time that was like taken away from us that we really could have been growing our audience and growing our fan base, of course, but like growing memories and making memories and everything else. And so I think the biggest thing for me is just playing out of town as much as possible. We're planning on trying to do like a 1.5 week tour and then another 5-day tour before the end of the year. So, and then we do quite a few one-offs and like small weekend things as much as we can. So, Ryan and I, we have a map and we put a pin in our map with every city we've been to together.
I love that.
And
very cool.
I think we're up to like 55 or something.
Yeah. Not all of that is from touring.
No, not all of it's from touring.
It would be awesome if it was.
But a lot of it is.
But a good chunk of it is. And, so that is cool, like, looking at it and be like, yeah, man, we played a lot of those.
A lot of it is, and so I want to keep putting pins in the map. That and it's sometimes we have to decide: do we want to tour or do we want to actually take like a vacation, just us? And sometimes that's a hard decision to make.
Yeah.
So,
we actually almost said fuck it on our honeymoon and was just like, you just want to book a tour?
Really?
We were actually
Wow.
like really considering it because it was like, well, we got the time off, and and it was like, no, you only get one honeymoon.
well, then
like,
we couldn't anyways because it was 2020.
Yeah, it was 2020. But we did kind of, for our honeymoon, we did kind of do our own little tour because we did Atlanta, Savannah, Asheville, and Gatlinburg. So we didn't just stay in one spot. We were like, we'll just do our own thing.
Yeah.
That's really cool, though. Yeah, I'm glad y'all can make that distinction, though, because like it would, being a working couple together, it would be very easy to turn a vacation into work very quickly. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that
sure.
y'all can still make those distinctions, because if it was me, I'd be like, oh yeah, like we're gonna go play. Of course we are.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like, take
Well,
advantage of it.
Honestly, we kind of it's to our benefit that we have 2 other band members, so that we don't cross those lines too much. Because if we were just a 2-piece, we'd probably get carried away with it, and not make as much time for just us.
Focusing on the relationship, probably like every weekend, like, where are we playing?
Yeah.
Oh, it would be.
Yeah, that's not even a joke.
Yeah, I really appreciate that you guys do make time for each other and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah,
too, so that's fantastic. So you guys are a DIY band, like not signed to a label, correct? Okay.
No, we do everything ourselves from the get-go. We agreed as a band that we would start a band account, and pretty much, everything that we got, merch sales and from show and stuff like that, we would throw in there for gas for touring or hotels or recording or for more merch. So that way we don't have to worry too much about taking it out of any of our pockets. And so far, it's been working very well for us. There's been only a few times that we've had to pay out of pocket, but the majority of our merchandise and recording and stuff like that, we've actually been able to, just use from merch sales and from shows.
That's very cool. In business management, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, that
Does
helps
that help?
too. Yes.
Yeah, it
Oh no,
helps.
she's got spreadsheets out the frame, and I'm like,
Oh, man.
I wish I
Amazing.
would have done this a
I'll
long
tell
time
you,
ago.
if I could, I'd book shows for a living. Like, it's so much fun to me, even when the venues don't email back. Like, I love it. It's so much fun. I love busting out spreadsheets and getting like really meticulous with it. But Lord knows I don't make any money doing it for my own band. I can't imagine I'd make any money doing it for anyone else. But it's fun. I love it.
That's very cool. That kind of leads me in a really good question. What are some pitfalls? You could do like a top 3, top 5, or a top 1. Like, what are some pitfalls being a DIY band that you feel other bands should avoid, or situations that you've seen before that you're like that should be avoided? Sorry, it could be money management, it could be booking, or just anything in your experience that you've seen that you think should be avoided.
I would say something to be, I don't know if like avoided would be the word for this, but maybe just be cautious about is just to kind of know your worth and what to say yes to and what to say no to. Because, with, being DIY and, trying to make, your own money that way. And, a lot of times with local shows, it's hard to really pull in some money. You don't have to say yes to everything because you don't want to become oversaturated. You don't want to overbook. And, if you're a DIY band, most likely you still have a job and you don't want to wear yourself out too much to where you're too tired for both.
Right.
So it's just be cautious of, the decisions that you're making. You don't have to say yes to every show and you don't have to say, no to every show either. Just, that's that.
I haven't really experienced a whole lot of negatives just because since we have our finance system, down to where we keep that organized. And pretty much everyone that's like helped us out on the road has been really cool. I mean, definitely what Ryan was saying, don't sell yourself short. We need to be more vocal about the fact that we're worth something. It is ridiculous that we're still charging $5 for shows like that. Like, look at a flyer from 1992. That's how much they were charging for no name bands then. Like, why?
Yeah.
So
$10 cover.
That's what we've been trying to do.
$10 cover.
At least.
Yeah.
Yes, I
And I guess just, knowing that you got to put in the work. I mean, it sucks, but you really do. You really do have to put in work.
It is rewarding, though, if you do put in the work for it and kind of, pay attention, learn from your mistakes, just be willing to grow and take criticism all the time. And just, what you have to work on personally, what the band has to work on, and, have, goals. Go, when people, end up recording your sets, go back and watch them and see, it's almost like, with sports when you're rewatching the plays, like, this is what we did wrong. It's just like, go back and, even record practices. We started doing that for a little bit. We kind of dropped off on that, but we need to do that more, and just, make sure, everything's where you want it to be. Because, when you're in that moment, whether it's practice or playing, it's kind of hard to, really hone in on that because you're just focused on just like adrenaline out the frame and, putting on a show, and also to go back to, right, what we were talking about beforehand is, get a bank account for a band account and have someone that you trust and that's good with money and finances be in charge of it.
Yeah. I think that's great. I think that a lot of bands could just like basic financial literacy is something that a lot of bands. I mean, like most people don't. Like we get into music because we love music, and then we want to make it a career, and then like we forget that it's actually a career too. So yeah, it is a business.
So, you do have to look at it as a business, no matter how badly you don't want to. But the reality is every single time you start a band and you're trying to do something more than just play every once in a while. If you want to do something more than that, you have to accept it that it's a business, and you have to look at it like that.
Yeah, I feel like DIY punk financial literacy is a topic that I would love to do an entire episode on with you guys at some point, because I think that would be absolutely wonderful. So if y'all are interested in punk financial literacy, I think that
Yes.
if that would be a topic that y'all would love to speak on.
Yes. Spreadsheets.
Yeah,
Yes. Just bring all the spreadsheets.
yeah. So I not to get too far into it. So other than the band bank account, are there some other ways you manage your band that you feel set you guys apart from other groups?
I would
say that no
say
other bands have bank accounts, but you know what I mean.
You know, promotion-wise, Xan and I are not afraid to promote on foot. And for the most part, when we have done that, when we've taken handbills to shows and we wait till the end of the show and go to the door when everyone's coming out doing it old school style, most people actually react super positive and just like, I haven't seen anyone do this in so long, and you get to engage and talk and all that. And, you know, just not even for punk bands, just anyone that's listening and you got the opportunity to do that, I would say do it. You know, even if you don't get, you know, a shit ton more people to the show that you're promoting, like you're still getting your name out there. People are, you know, will see your name and will now recognize you. You get to engage with people on a, you know, in a physical way instead of just, you know, online. And, you know, most people just appreciate the fact that you're doing that, and they can tell that you actually give a shit about what you're doing. And I think a lot of bands need to kind of bring that back and not just rely on social media, especially with the way that algorithms are. And if you really want a post to be seen, you got to throw money in on it. And it's just getting worse and worse and worse.
I think also having either, I mean, if you yourself, who is the main, you know, band member who kind of manages things, is an artist, that's fantastic, visual artist, but having people on your side who are looking for art exposure is super awesome, because you kind of both benefit. You know, you can, you know, of course you want to pay your friends, but having someone who is also like trying to get their foot in the door from their side of things. Jimmy Myers has been an amazing right-hand man with a lot of our promo stuff and all of our music videos.
Yeah, every lyric video,
a lot
every
of
music
one
video.
of our photo shoots, and then my younger sibling Cecil, who's 17, has helped us recently, like out of this world designs, and we're able to really like churn out new t-shirt designs all the time and really just like give something that the consumer wants. You know, they want new art, they want new cool things. People will buy another sticker and another button and another t-shirt and another whatever if you've got another design. So just having someone on your side who you can kind of help each other out, because, you know, I want to give my 17-year-old sibling exposure. They want to get their own exposure and help us out. You know, I throw them some money, but we don't have enough money to pay someone who's a full-time professional artist. So it works out. So if you know someone like that, really keeping them on your side and kind of sticking with that style aesthetically for a while is always fun, and kind of coming up with a theme to run for a while to really help with sales, I think has been really beneficial for us.
I think that's great. It's almost like having your designer be like the extra member of the band.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, like
great.
Jimmy, especially with him doing our music videos and stuff, I mean, he's been so close-knit, and, you know, now he's a tattoo apprentice. He's doing visual art stuff too, but go get a tattoo from him as well.
I need a tattoo, so Jimmy, I'm gonna come see you about a tattoo. So that's very cool. No, I really like how you talk about just managing your merchandise very well, and shaking up the designs and stuff like that. Because graphic design, you know, like I've had to do graphic design for my own projects, and it's a pain in the butt after a while. So having somebody that's ready to do that's just another creative member of your project, I think that's absolutely crucial. So
Well, it's also good to have, you know, another creative mind. You know, like you can throw ideas and stuff like that, but having someone on the outside, you know, bring in their style and their, you know, creativeness, you know, I think can come up with some really exciting designs and art, whether it's, t-shirts to stickers to albums, just whatever,
Yeah. And I will link to, because y'all just released a music video a couple of months ago. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So I will link to
7-10 split.
I'll link to your music video in the
Sweet.
show
Awesome.
notes so
Thank
people
you.
can check it out.
Yay.
Very cool. So we have one kind of signature question on this podcast. You can
Yes.
answer it however you want. It could be music related. It could be, each of you can have your own answer, however you want to answer it. But the question is, do you have a favorite failure?
You keep
We
wanting
both
me to
got so
go
quiet.
first
If
on
you
the
don't, that's
tough
fine, too.
questions.
No, I want you to go
A
first.
favorite failure. I haven't really thought about it that way. That's why it's taken me a second. Because obviously there's, been mishaps and failures. I would say, no, I'm overthinking it now.
Sorry, I got you in your head, man. I
No,
apologize.
I know. I don't know what I'm going to do, man.
You don't have to
really
answer
wanna
if you
take
don't
this
want
one
to, yeah.
first?
I don't really. I'm perfect. No, I'm totally kidding. I wouldn't say failure, but I've definitely come out of my shell with speaking on stage, and I think kind of what Ryan was talking about earlier, how going back and watching yourself, if people have taken videos or whatever, has been really helpful. Because there have been so many times where I go back and I see myself talking between songs, and it is so silly. It's just, it does not, like, I don't even know what I'm talking about. And so watching myself bomb multiple times for years on stage really helped me decide that I really wanted to, like, get out of my shell and feel confident. And by doing so, I think I'm kind of embodying more of what I was saying I want to be for the next generation of people, for the people who, not just next generation, but just people in general out there who want to do this. Because if you've got someone who's doing great actually performing the songs, but then between them is just kind of like, I'm sweaty, because that's usually was my topic of discussion for a long time, because I didn't know what else to say, and I was sweaty, and so I would tell the audience about how sweaty I am, even though they can visibly see it. I think
you should bring it back.
I think
The
that's been
people
my
need to
biggest
know
like challenge.
about
I wouldn't say
the
failure,
sweat.
but it's been my biggest challenge to overcome, and I've since 2022 specifically, I've really started to find myself with that, and I think it's really helped just add overall to our stage presence, but also the message that I want to speak to the masses.
Very cool.
I would say for me, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get deep with it.
Go for it,
I
man.
would say for me is realizing that I had became having a big issue with alcohol. And pretty much with my entire adult life with playing music, I was always either buzzed or shithoused with playing shows. And it gives you that liquid courage. And I would say at first, starting to play sober again and everything was very awful. And it felt like getting on stage for the first time. And it was very scary. And I would tense up and cramp up. And I was like, why am I even doing this? But with over time and realizing that, and, for the longest time, keeping my confidence there, where I'm at now and having to, sift through that, is my confidence has flown through the roof. I've never felt more comfortable on stage and, just even talking to people, because I didn't realize how bad my social anxiety was until I started going out and not being drunk. I'm like, I don't know what to say. It was a weird thing,
Right.
and, sorry, I went super deep with
No,
it. It's just
I
like,
really appreciate
with
you-
actually thinking about it, that's just where my brain went. So I just, decided to go with it. But, I hate to say that it was, almost throwing it as a failure, because, it turned out to be a super great thing in so many different levels, for me, and just relationships and all that. But I never, where I'm at now on stage, I would have never dreamed of actually having that type of confidence, even when I was drinking, so I would say for me personally, that's probably my biggest failure, is relying on a substance to think like that's how I had to play music.
Well, dude, I appreciate you so much for sharing that, because that's really powerful, man. You know, like it's no secret that substances and the music scene are so closely related.
Oh yeah.
So to be able to get up and do that is powerful, man. And I really appreciate you
Yeah.
for sharing that.
And we had been a few months into practicing when we quit drinking.
Yeah, so our first show, we weren't drinking anymore, because that's what I was going to add. It wasn't just me. We quit at the same time. So Xanthe had to go through the same exact shit.
And that's why I talked about being sweaty, because I
Yeah.
wasn't drunk, so I
We
didn't
were
know what
all
else to
weird.
talk about.
My signature is always, it's past my bedtime, guys.
Yeah.
Every time, in between time, I'm like, guys, it is 9 o'clock. It's past my bedtime.
I'm going to use that on Saturday before our last song. It's like, I'm going to pull a Keegan, guys. It's past my bedtime.
I really want to be there for that, just so you can, like, that's a shout out. Why am I awake too? No, I appreciate that. And you don't have to answer if you don't want to. Are there any methods or techniques that you use to help maintain that sense of clarity when you guys started playing music again? Or was it just having a really strong support system?
Strong support system, and not even just for music, just in general, is, if you're having, any type of issues with substance abuse, is find your motivation and keep that on point. And for me, my motivation was her, and that was very easy for me to keep it on point and not, go back to, to pick up the bottle again.
Right.
So that's my advice, even though, it's short and to the point. But for me, that's what worked the most, is just, anytime in the beginning when, shit gets frustrating and you're feeling depressed or whatever, and it's just, what was your go-to beforehand? Oh, going and picking up a 12-pack or a handle of something. That isn't an option anymore. It could be, but you're going to fuck your life up. So it's just like you find that motivation and you hold on to it with dear life. And then one day you're just not even thinking about shit anymore. Like the life that you're living just becomes normal. And then you're just like, I don't give a damn about it. I'm very grateful that for both of us, it took a little bit of time, but I think we got there a little bit quicker than we thought. But we also had each other, and we had that support system. We did it together. And, so yeah, find your motivation.
And I think also just knowing that, like, it's kind of cool. I mean, it's not cool knowing that people have issues that so much so that they feel like they have to go, full cut whatever substances out. But there's so many people who don't drink or whatever, who are going to shows, who are out at bars, and there's so many bars that do not give a shit, and they don't, like, people there aren't going to make you feel weird or bad. Whereas when you first, like, try to conquer that, you're already so nervous of, what am I going to say? How am I going to talk to people? Everyone's going to know. Everyone, and then the bar is going to be mad that I'm not buying drinks. And I'm just, like, there's so many things that you, like, psych yourself up about that. It's totally no issue. And if you want to go to a show and not buy a drink, then, like, do it. It's not a big deal. No one's going to make you feel bad. And if they do, then they can suck my dick. So
Yeah, man, this is inspiring, guys. I really thank you guys so much for sharing that.
well,
I think
thank
that's
you.
really
Thank
cool.
you so much
I
for
wasn't
having
planning
us.
on it.
Dude, I think that was great. And just, I'm not gonna lie, when you're talking about, like, her being your motivation, I was like, I miss my wife right now. Oh my God. Yeah, she's in the end of school year madness. She just did, like, a musical and a concert and a trip all the same. So we have not seen each other a whole lot right now. So we're like, I miss my wife. But, so yeah, your love for each other is contagious, like, for real. So all right, no, that was absolutely that was wonderful. Thank you guys so much for sharing that. So kind of bringing this to a close, where can everybody find you guys as far as, like, internet and stuff like that goes?
We have an Instagram that we post on very regularly, Lipstick Stains 901, the Memphis area code.
Maine.
What?
Memphis, Maine.
Oh. And then everything that we post goes to our Facebook, but the Facebook page algorithms are terrible. But you can find us on Facebook, Lipstick Stains. We have all of our music on Bandcamp, Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music. I think those are all the ones that most
all
people
the major
use.
streaming services.
And then we have a merch store that is lipstickstains901.square.site, and that is got all of our shirts and cool stuff. And then
we mail all around the United States, and we do free deliveries in Memphis.
Yeah, anywhere in the Memphis area. So, Bartlett, Cordova, Olive Branch, whatever. We'll deliver it to you.
Bring it down to the SIP.
Yeah, we'll bring it down to the SIP.
Yeah.
Will you come to Atoka is the question.
We can't bullshit. We like to travel. We like to travel.
We do like to travel. We can find a hiking trail in Atoka.
Yes.
There's one
yes.
right
Make an
behind
excuse
my
of it.
house.
Yeah, but
actually,
you'll
so-
have to meet us in the middle of the trail.
Yeah.
Like, it's got to be an
It's gonna be a
adventure for you,
game.
too.
I mean, yeah, I'm from there, so
Yeah,
I know
he's
where
like,
the adventures
he's like,
live.
I will find you.
Yeah.
It's not that big of a deal.
I think that, and then of course YouTube. We've got 2 regular music videos, and then three lyric videos.
3 or 4?
3. Humanity, Pretty, and Drained.
3.
We have 3 lyric videos.
Few live videos.
And quite a few live videos.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Cool. And if you guys will send that stuff to me, I will link all of it in the show notes.
Sweet.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, we'll be a click away from everybody who listens to this. Show Saturday, Lamplighter.
Yes.
Doors at
8.
8.
Show at 9.
Cover is
$10.
$10 cover. 3 fantastically female-fronted bands.
Yes.
Yes.
They're gonna melt your face.
Yes.
And make sure to get there early so you do not miss Little Baby Tendencies, because they are amazing. And then stay to the end and watch everybody, because it's a killer lineup. And I'm not just saying that because we're on there. Like she said earlier, we've been trying to put this together for a while, so
Fantastic.
you don't want to miss it.
Yeah, I am so stoked. I will do my best to be there. Let me ask my wife so she can watch her kids. So. All right, this has been an absolute blast. Ryan and Xanthe, thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
This has been Lipstick Stains. Thank you guys so much. This has been another episode of The Modern Working Musician, and we will see you later.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, what do you have to do for your live shit? Be tight as possible, and put on a damn show. And that's what I want for every single time that we play live. And I don't care how many times. Like, we still play songs off our first EP because he turned it back on, girl. I can't stop. I am now the radio.
This is his show
This
now.
is the blooper reel.
Yeah.
I feel like y'all need, dude. I'm serious.
Thank you for tuning into Rye Time.
I'm not gonna lie. A married couple punk podcast, I would listen to wholeheartedly. I'm not gonna lie.
Fun.
Please do that.
But yeah, one of the biggest things for me, because I'm not a technical guitar player, because I started out as a drummer, and I mean I've gotten better. I practice, But in the start of this was like I'm just doing power chords in octaves. It's basically how it was back in the '80s, just simple, in your face shit. I want to be tight. And that's my main focus for the music and for vocals, is just I want to be as tight as possible, and I want to bring the energy, and that's one of the most important things.
I mean,
for
mess
me.
ups are okay, of course, but
What's
like
gonna happen, especially if you're
but
putting on a show and the adrenaline's
we don't ever half ass. We don't ever half ass. Like,
Yeah, like that
if
show-
I'm getting on stage, I'm putting on a show.
Yeah.
No, the full ass will be at the show.
No full ass. Maybe yours.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it is Rye Time.
Right.
Rye Time, there's full ass.
Oh my gosh. That's a classic B-roll. This is going on the Patreon. Thank you all so much for listening. This has been another episode of The Modern Working Musician. If you are interested in learning more about the podcast, you can visit keeganpaluso.com/modernworkingmusician. Likewise, if you're interested in advertising with The Modern Working Musician, you can find me at keeganpaluso.com or keeganpalusomusic@gmail.com. You can find us on all platforms at Modern Working Musician. Thank you guys so much for listening, and have a great day.